Shalom. This week's Torah portion is the portion of Kitisa in the book of Exodus, but there's an ancient tradition that there are 4 special Sabbaths that lead up to the crescendo of the experience of Passover, and on these 4 special Sabbaths, an extra Torah scroll, a second Torah scroll is removed from the Holy Ark, and another smaller portion of the Torah is read as what's called the Maftir, and that has a special message for this particular time of year. We've already had 2 of those special Shabbatot. We had the Torah portion regarding the commandment of the half shekel contribution, and the Torah portion just before Purim regarding the commandment of Amalek, remembering Amalek. This week, in addition to the portion of Kitisa in the book of Exodus, we are also going to be reading the special reading of the precept, the ordinance of the Red Heifer, which is found in Numbers Chapter 19. And the concept of the Red Heifer has to do with how to reinstate purity for Israel and for the whole world. And the concept of the Red Heifer, as it's outlined there in Numbers 19, is considered by our sages to be really the deepest, the greatest mystery in the Torah. How this works, how this process of purification through the ashes of the Red Heifer brings about a state of purity. And it's called by the Torah a chok, and that means it's a type of commandment about which God tells us really in advance that we can't possibly understand it. It's actually beyond the realm of human comprehension, and thus considered to be a very great mystery. And there is a particular reason on a simple level why this reading is done, why it takes place at this point on the calendar, 2 weeks before the new month of Nisan, which is the time of our redemption, the time of Passover. And really, when we read now this Shabbat, when we read the portion of the Red Heifer in Numbers 19, it's as if the Holy Temple is really standing right now. That's our great level of faith that the temple will be reinstated, because the reason on a simple level for reading about the Red Heifer and the process of purification, for reading about it before Passover and before really the onset of the month of Nisan, is because the congregation of Israel, in order to ascend to the Holy Temple, to make the pilgrimage to the temple, must undergo this process of cleansing, purification, in order to come into the presence of God to make the pilgrimage for the festival on Passover. Our sages have a tradition that the great redemption, the final redemption that we all look forward to, will take place during the month of Nisan. Indeed, the cryptic statement that they make is that Israel in the past was redeemed in Nisan, and so too in the future, Israel will be redeemed in the month of Nisan. And of course, Israel's redemption will trigger the redemption of the whole world. When Israel is redeemed, meaning when Israel gets right with God, this will bring about the state of excellence and perfection for the entire humanity. But how can we understand, really on one foot, the secret of the Red Heifer, that the greatest of all generations have not been able to fathom, to comprehend how this process, and you can look there in Numbers 19 and in the oral tradition as well, how this brings about a state of purity. And remember how interesting it is that God tells us that we cannot really understand in this lifetime how this works. There are some things that we have to admit that we can't understand, and perhaps one way to really understand the secret of the Red Heifer is based on the fact that we can't grasp it. And perhaps this is a signal to us that the secret of bringing about our purification, the secret of purifying ourselves before God, is for us to realize, to admit, and to internalize that there are a lot of things that we really don't understand and that we can't possibly grasp. So I'm thinking to myself, I don't understand the Red Heifer, but what do I understand in God's world? Do I really understand anything? I don't understand how He gives me life. I don't understand how He keeps the whole world going. And perhaps this is actually another reason on a deeper level for why this is read before Passover, as a preparation for that great time, past, present, and future, the time of our redemption. Perhaps the secret of our redemption is for us to realize how little we know and how little we understand, how much we don't know, that our redemption, that our relationship with God is something that tells us how much we depend on Him, how little we really know, how much we depend on Him for everything. It takes a certain degree of admitting perhaps our own vulnerability, and perhaps coming to a place of humility and realizing that the most important things in life we really don't understand. The holy books tell us that these days in which we currently find ourselves, and which are descending upon us, the days before Passover, are days that have the power to bring us to a spirit of purity. And this week, as we busy ourselves with reading about the commandment of the Red Heifer, our blessing for ourselves, for each other, should be, may we merit to see the fulfillment of the verse in Ezekiel, that God tells us that in the future I will sprinkle upon you purifying waters and purify you from everything. And through our understanding how little we really do understand, may we merit to Passover in the Holy Temple.